To many passers-by, this may look like any other schoolhouse, but what many don't realize is the story that is cemented between each brick, window shutter, and even the windows themselves. A story that almost didn't have a happy ending.
Well, we found the schoolhouse, it was probably about 4 years ago, and we weren't sure that it was a schoolhouse or not. It looked like it. They had converted the front into a garage, so we weren't sure. And so I had some students and we researched that. And then we contacted, it was for sale at the time, and the guy that was selling it wanted $1 million for it. We thought, oh my gosh, we're not going to buy the property. So we kind of shelved it. And then about a year or so after that, I didn't realize, but the city had bought the property and they were demolishing the house and the garage. We'd done all that history and research right then, showed it to the city. And then because of all that research we had done, they realized that, and we convinced them to hold off on demolishing the garage. They got rid of everything else and gave us time to fundraise to be able to restore it and move it. And we had to raise about $80,000. Once we even got close, once we got half, we had enough that we could take it apart and move it onto school property. And so we did that, continued the fundraising, and then once we had the full funds that we needed, we went ahead and had it restored.
Today, the schoolhouse invites third grade classes from across the community to come and experience what school was like back in the 1800s.
Now, someone might eliminate
they were pretty basic, in the schoolhouse, but they got the important things done: the reading, the writing. Of course, they taught cursive, and they're not teaching that anymore. The ciphering, which is their math, was pretty much the same, but today they do it in a little bit different way. And we did do the social studies and all those science in the one-room schoolhouse, but probably not quite as involved.
We have a book that you could read. You could stand up and recite. How about that? Let's see. We open the pages.
Thanks to the countless hours of research, fundraising, construction, and volunteering to teach in the schoolhouse, the bricks are still cemented together. The shutters are still connected to the windows, and the windows illuminate a school that teaches more than basic math and reading comprehension. Rather, it teaches a lesson about history and the importance of learning and appreciating it. Covering the schoolhouse for the past few years, one aspect of that surprised me the most is just how authentic it is on the inside. It really does make you feel like you've transported back to the 1800s. A welcome change, especially in this technologically advancing world. Reporting for WGLH-TV, this has been Jonathon Mayes. As the clock ticks, it symbolizes time ticking by. And while seconds may not seem like a lot of time, if you begin to add them up, you will see seconds turn into minutes, which turns into hours, which turns into days, years, decades, and generations. The Gahanna Jefferson School District has existed since the late 1800s when the town of Gahanna combined with Jefferson Township and has grown ever since. To help show this progress of time, WGLH-TV advisor and former GJPS student Tom Gregory decided to construct a timeline that, when finished, will be on display near the lobby of Lincoln High School.
Oh, the timeline actually was something that some students and I came up with the idea for it about 8-9 years ago. What Mr. Carter had mentioned, that the PTO had approved some money for us to do the timeline project, and we were like, oh, great, but we had to finish up the schoolhouse first.
Following the initial phases of planning came the hours upon hours of research on the history of the district.
Well, it was a lot of work, especially when you talk about communities. You go back and look for pictures, especially from a long time ago. Some of the pictures we had of one-room schoolhouses would either come from residents. I mean, one of them we blew up, but it was on a postcard that was found on eBay that someone found a long time ago. And luckily on the back, it had mentioned that this was the school over on Wagner Road, and the person that was a grandmother at the time and writing to her grandson to say she was a teacher in like 1900 or 1903 in the schoolhouse. And it was just, lots of research.
Once their research was complete, they now had to get photos of the existing buildings. They did this in one of two ways. they either used one of these on the ground, or if they wanted to get a more aerial shot of the building, they utilized a drone.
The yearbook has been instrumental in getting the photography part of the timeline. So our photographers went out and took pictures of the school buildings that still exist. And we also have gone back into old yearbooks and gone through them to try to find what did life look like as a student at Gahanna throughout the years.
After conducting research and collecting the photographs, it was time to begin the actual construction of the timeline. Instead of using an outside company to construct the timeline, Gregory decided to utilize Gahanna-Lincoln High School's own SWAG and Fab Lab classes.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons is there was very limited money, but the biggest reason, even if we had the money, I wouldn't have done that, because the whole point of doing any of these projects is not just for the project itself to be nice for people to appreciate when it's done, but the project itself should be a learning process for everybody involved. Throughout the process, they learn so much, and then certainly take pride in the project when it's done.
One student who has devoted much of her time to the project is Kayla McCoy.
I thought that it would be interesting to be a part of something that would be at the high school for many years to come. They're thinking about keeping it around for 20 to 30 years from now, and it's my senior year, so I'll be able to leave my mark on the school.
Since McCoy is in both SWAG and Fab Lab, she's been able to utilize her skills in both areas to help build the timeline.
It's like the paper came up, so you were cutting the vinyl, and like the vinyl was sticky, so it wasn't like.
Well, it first started in SWAG, and I inserted the pictures and the captions into the timeline. I also designed the layout of the timeline with help from Catherine Bells, and then now we're at the stage where we're printing it using the vinyl printer in the Fab Lab. So I'm a part of all of sections of the timeline.
Meanwhile, the timeline has begun to take shape in the school lobby with the hanging of a quote last week. Project organizers hope to begin hanging pictures in the coming weeks. In the meantime, the clock keeps ticking.
From the original one-room schoolhouses at Gahanna,
From the construction of Clark Hall, the Gahanna-Jefferson School District has surely progressed over the last generation.
reporting for WGLH-TV, this has been Josh Russell
And Jonathon Mayes.
You know, it's an epidemic in the United States, distracted driving, and it's simple to define. It's anything that takes your hands off the wheel, your eyes off the road, and your mind off your driving. And car crashes are the leading killer of your age group. 16 to 19, if one of you are going to die, it's probably going to be in a car crash. And it's so senseless, it's so ridiculous. And, you know, no text message, no selfie, no Instagram. None of that stuff is worth it. And I know how important high school is because I was in high school. Believe it or not, I was once 16. And I know how important your friends are to you in your life. You're with them right now. If you're watching this, you're probably sitting with your friends. I want you to imagine tonight if your best friend is no more. If you lose your best friend in a car crash. I don't have to imagine anymore. Maria's not coming home. My wife and I sit and wait every night for her to come home. I never wanted her to be a statistic, but she is. I don't want any of you to be a statistic. It's just not worth it. You have too much to live for, and if you take nothing away from this, remember one thing. Your life is important. You are loved, and people care about you. All we ask is you care enough about yourself to keep yourself safe and keep Maria's message alive.
What is a stereotype? How would you define a stereotype? where did the idea of a stereotype come from? From a young age, you're told to find your niche, or the group you want to associate yourself with. This group could be the athletes, such as a football or soccer player, a singer in theater, a straight-A student, band, art. The list is endless. However, you may also be the person that doesn't want to be involved, or the one who may learn differently from everyone else. Did you know that one can assume finding your niche reflects a stereotype of yourself? You join theater, so you must not be a runner. Or you draw pictures, so you must not care about grades. Or you haven't joined anything, so you must not have any special talents. Stereotypes can also be placed on you based on how you look or talk. You speak or look different, so you must not be like everyone else. However, what many don't realize is a stereotype is just a category that we put others into. What we fail to realize is just because we may not be the fastest runner, greatest singer, smartest student, best trumpet player, most colorful artist, or just simply look or talk different, doesn't mean we don't all share similar interests. In fact, it's just the opposite.
All right, so if you like sports or you play sports or you watch sports, please move to the middle now.
As people come together, a great picture emerges from the boxes that once separated us. A picture that illuminates the message of, there is more that brings us together than we think, proving that stereotypes don't define us. Rather, it's who we truly are as individuals and human beings that will forever define who we are.
Hi, thanks so much for supporting our annual Spread the Word to End the Word campaign here at Gahanna, Lincoln. Please join us to sign the pledge to end the use of the R word. Also, join us in the gym today to play some wheelchair basketball, visit with some therapy dogs, and just come hang out and have some fun. Thank you, Gahanna, for all your support.